All right, peoples, man, I hope y'all can hear me, man. I'm about to do this voiceover, and I'm going to pretty much just have my arm workout that I was doing today playing in the background as I do this voiceover. But basically, man, this video is about why you should not be consuming pre-workout drinks, why you should not be consuming coffee on a daily basis. And essentially, all stimulants have horrible side effects if used long term and without cycling off of them. And yes, you should cycle off all stimulants so that you don't build up a dependence. So anyway, let's get started. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I don't want people to end up like me and have to deal with what I had to deal with. And I don't know if y'all remember in previous videos I was discussing adrenal fatigue, and I was dealing with that for some time. And not only did I learn that I was dealing with adrenal fatigue, I also learned that through constant stimulation, through pre-workout drinks, that I was desensitizing my dopamine receptors. I was desensitizing my adenosine receptors, which is what caffeine actually works on. It works on the adenosine receptors and makes you feel more wakeful. And I was also depleting nutrients that my brain needed in order to synthesize these neurotransmitters like dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, acetylcholine, and basically all of those neurotransmitters, I was depleting them from my body. And so I was struggling with not only adrenal fatigue, I was also struggling with dopamine desensitization, receptor desensitization, and I was also having issues with producing enough dopamine because I was depleting a lot of those nutrients from my body because I kept constantly overstimulating my body on a daily basis. And so I started drinking caffeine and pre-workout supplements, I think back in 2013. And that's when I was in college, and basically I wanted to start utilizing my day better so I can get a lot of things done and be more efficient throughout the day. So I decided that I wanted to start going to the gym at 6 a.m. And during that time, you know, I'm not a morning person at all. My body is not fully awake. I hate the morning time. If it's not 9 a.m., my body is still asleep. So since I was trying to be at the gym at 6 a.m., I was getting up at 5 a.m. But I was using a lot of pre-workout drinks in order to get myself up in the morning and to get going. So years of using pre-workout drinks and overstimulating the body, it damaged my dopamine, acetylcholine, and a lot of other neurotransmitter receptors. It desensitized those receptors. And so I noticed like over the years, well recently, like last year, that I was dealing with adrenal fatigue, and I talked to you guys about that and how I found out that I was dealing with I was having an issue with adrenal fatigue, and that was because every time I would go to the gym, I would get sick and nauseous and feel like I would want to vomit, like after 20 minutes of being in the gym. And yes, the gym is healthy for you and exercise is healthy, but it still is stressful to the body. But if you have a healthy endocrine system, which the adrenal glands are part of the endocrine system, if you have a healthy endocrine system, your body is able to deal with that stress and mount a stress response and release the chemicals that it needs to release in order to deal with that stress, such as cortisol and adrenal hormones. And so what was happening was I kept overstimulating, depleting nutrients, depleting minerals, depleting vitamins. So I got to the point where every time I would go to the gym, I would get sick because my body could not mount that stress response because I didn't have the nutrients. I wasn't replenishing the nutrients. I was depleting them constantly overstimulating the body, overstimulating to the point where my body just couldn't handle it anymore. And I also got to the point where I would drink a Bang energy drink, which, if you don't know, Bang energy drink has creatine in it, some B vitamins, and it also has 300 milligrams of caffeine. I would drink that Bang energy drink, and literally 10 minutes later, I would start falling asleep. And I'm like, damn, man, what the hell is going on? So what I, started learning through my studies is that when you stimulate the body, you force the body to produce more neurotransmitters than it needs to produce. You force your dopamine receptors to stay in contact with those neurotransmitters. With that being said, that overstimulation is going to cause those receptors to become desensitized. Because one thing you have to realize about the human body is that it always wants to stay in homeostasis. So every time you drink that caffeine, not only does it make your body produce more cortisol, it also makes your body produce more epinephrine and norepinephrine in the brain and in the peripheral nervous system. It also makes your body produce more dopamine as well in acetylcholine neurotransmitters. And so when you have that constant stimulation and you have those neurotransmitters binding to those receptors constantly and overstimulating it, those receptors become desensitized, they break down, and some of them actually fall off of the neuron. And so you'll actually start becoming desensitized to the point where that caffeine that you used to drink, that 200 milligrams of caffeine, doesn't work for you no more. Now you have to constantly keep upping your caffeine to the point where now you're drinking 2 and 3 bangs a day, which again, one can of Bang energy drink contains 300 milligrams of caffeine. You'll get to the point where you're constantly consuming caffeine just to stay up, just to get through the day, just to have a productive day and get shit done. Because you desensitized your receptors. And so now you need more and more and more. And I'm pretty sure we all know those people at work or people in our personal life, friends and family, that always have to drink caffeine throughout the day. And if they don't have their caffeine drink, that coffee, then they're aggravated. They're annoyed with people. They don't want to talk to anybody. They want their coffee, and you can't say anything to them unless they get that coffee or that caffeine into their system. That's part of caffeine withdrawals. Your body is trying to adapt to you overstimulating the body. And one thing you have to learn is that what goes up must come down. So when you drink that caffeine and you stimulate the body and you're constantly running at this high level, eventually this caffeine is going to get out of your system. Your body is going to excrete the caffeine from your system. And so now we call that the come down phase or the withdrawal. And so during that time, that's when you get fatigued and you get tired, you get sleepy. And then you keep doing that over the years. Now you get to the point where your normal dopamine levels aren't as high as they used to be. Because number one, you desensitize those receptors. You've destroyed those receptors. And you depleted the nutrients your body needs in order to build those neurotransmitters up again. And so you'll get to the point where you're constantly fatigued. You have no motivation to do anything. You just want to lay around. Your mood is low. You may feel depressed. And those are all the symptoms that I was experiencing. And so I couldn't even go to the gym because I had no motivation to go to the gym. I've never been in a situation to where I didn't want to go to the gym, especially for 3, 4, and 5 weeks at a time. Like, I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't have the motivation to work out because I had overstimulated my body to the point where I don't have the receptors anymore. They're not strong anymore. I don't even have the neurotransmitters like I used to have anymore because I overstimulated and I depleted. So I got to the point where I didn't even want to go to the gym. And so I knew exactly what was going on during that time, but you start falling into a cycle because you have to keep up with everyday life. I have to go to work. And so I can't be at work lethargic. I can't be at work unmotivated. I can't be at work depressed because I'm around people and my employees are dependent on me and there's work that I have to do and my boss is dependent on me. And so you fall into the trap of, okay, let me drink more caffeine. Let me consume more caffeine. And you get to the point where you're drinking coffee all day just to stay up and get through the day, even though the coffee is not even working for you anymore like it used to. Even though that energy drink is not working for you like it used to, because you've destroyed those receptors. Now, if this is you, you're not out of luck. You still have a chance to bounce back. And that's something that I'm going to share with you guys, some information that's going to teach you how to bounce back. And these are the things that I've been doing to heal my brain. And this is one of the reasons why I'm able to actually do this YouTube video, because I'm actually healing my brain now. I'm not using the stimulants that I used to use. I'm using supplements and nutrition to actually build the brain back up so that I can have those normal dopamine levels again. So I can have that normal motivation to go to the gym, that normal motivation to get through the day and get my work done, that normal motivation just to have fun and not be depressed. Okay, so first and foremost, the number one thing that I started doing was giving my body the healthy fats that it needs. So I started consuming the omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids. So you can go to any health food store, Vitamin Shop, GNC, any health food store, and pick up some healthy fats. And the fats is what your brain uses for energy. And that's what your brain actually prefers to use. Yes, its main fuel source is the glucose because that's what we're giving it. But the brain functions better off those high healthy fats, not the bad fats, not the high, saturated fats. Your body wants the DHA, the EPA, the ALA, those healthy fats. Your body wants to use those healthy fats as energy. Not only am I consuming those fish oils, omega-3, 6, and 9 for the healthy fats, I'm also taking supplements such as N-acetyl L-carnitine. So the difference between regular L-carnitine and acetyl L-carnitine, and I'm pretty sure you heard about L-carnitine and how it makes the body use fat as a fuel source. So regular L-carnitine makes the body itself use fat as a fuel source, but N-acetyl L-carnitine is directly absorbed into the brain, and it makes the brain use the healthy fats as a fuel source. So it'll help you with that mental endurance. It'll help you get through that fog in the middle of the day. It'll help you it'll help your brain with that energy that it needs in order to maintain its focus throughout the day so that you can get work done. So again, fish oils and N-acetyl L-carnitine, those two supplements. Also, two other supplements that I'm using in order to heal the brain. And both of these two supplements that I'm going to talk about next help to produce acetylcholine. All right. So the first supplement that I use is CDP choline or citicholine. CDP choline and acetylcholine is the same supplement. They just have two different names or whatever. You can choose one name or the other, doesn't matter. They're both the same thing. So you can use citicholine or CDP choline, and I'll put these names on the screen as well. And again, forgive me if I'm butchering these names. But anyway, so I use CDP choline because studies show that CDP choline helps to strengthen the brain. It actually increases dopamine and acetylcholine receptors, and it's called receptor densities. It helps to increase those receptors and make them stronger so that once your body starts producing the normal levels of dopamine and other neurotransmitters, it's now able to bind to those receptors, and now you're actually able to get an effect from your actual normal dopamine neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. You're actually able to have that normal motivation back because it actually helps to rebuild those receptors. And with overstimulating the body, this is something that you actually want to add to your routine so that you don't become dependent on those substances. You don't want to get to the point where, man, I don't want to go to the gym. I got to have some caffeine in order to work out. You don't want to be a slave to these pre-workout drinks, because once they latch hold to you And once you become addicted to them, it's going to be hard for you to go throughout your day and do the things that you normally would love to do without being stimulated, without getting that caffeine inside your body. Okay, and this goes for ginseng as well, caffeine, Adderall, and any other Adderall derivative. Okay, so any type of stimulant, and this goes for opioids as well. So any type of stimulants and opioids can be used or act as a stimulant. All right, but all of these chemicals, the stimulants, they will destroy your brain. Okay, and so taking something like CDP choline or citicoline will actually help to heal those receptors. All right, and also another choline supplement that I'm taking is called Alpha GPC. Now, the reason why I'm actually taking Alpha GPC is not only does it help to heal the receptors and make acetylcholine, it also helps with verbal fluency. It also helps with mental clarity, and it also helps to increase human growth hormone in the brain. And we all know with HGH, or human growth hormone, that helps your body rebuild itself at a faster rate. Not only does it increase it in the brain, but it also increases it throughout the body as well. So it is beneficial to anybody that's into powerlifting, anybody that's into bodybuilding, anybody that's into health and fitness in general. This Alpha GPC is going to help you make more gains, and is going to help heal the brain as well. So those 4 supplements that I named, you need to add them into your regimen, and you need to start using them ASAP and get off of the caffeine. And if you can't stay off the caffeine forever, at least cycle your caffeine. Do 1 week caffeine and 1 week non-caffeine. Do not continue destroying your dopamine receptors and also your other neurotransmitters. Okay, you don't want to be a slave to this caffeine. And that, my friends, is the reason why you should stop consuming these pre-workout drinks. They're not healthy for you at all, and studies show that they don't actually help you build more muscle. Yes, with overstimulating the body, you can lift more weights, but at the end of the day, it does raise your cortisol level, which stops the muscle building process. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, I can lift more weights, but then I'm destroying my endocrine system and increasing my cortisol levels, which is throwing off my endocrine cycle. So honestly, I don't see too much of the benefit of the stimulants unless you're using them for a short period of time. Like it's just once or twice a week. You got to do heavy squats, or you got something that you have to do at work or in your personal life, or whatever it may be. Then that's when you can start using those stimulants. But other than that, do not use these things on a daily basis, because you will get messed up. You don't want to be like me. Oh, and one last thing I forgot before I go. One llast thing, I'm also consuming a lot of blueberries. Studies show that blueberries also help to heal the brain as well. So I'm consuming a lot of blueberries, and I'm pretty much putting them in my protein shakes that I drink in the morning and my protein shakes that I drink at night. And that's it. I'm done. This video is 20 minutes. I don't even know if I have 20 minutes worth of workout footage. But anyways, this is the video. Like the video, share the video, all that good shit. And thank you for listening and make it to the end of the video. And oh, don't forget to goddamn subscribe. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next video, man. Peace.